Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I would like to give information about common feed ingredients used in poultry feed. So guys, there are various feed ingredients used in poultry diet nowadays. These ingredients are of plant origin or the animal origin. But nowadays majority of plant origin major feed ingredients are used in poultry diet. The major feed ingredients are corn and soybean meal, which account for near about 70 to 80% of the components of the feed, and the other ingredients vary depending on the local availability and their nutrient content. So in formulating the diet, it is essential to know the nutrient quality and the content of various ingredients. The various types of poultry feed ingredients are classified as energy sources and the protein sources, and these protein sources are also again subdivided depending on their origin, that is plant origin and the animal origins. All cereal grains and their byproducts, as well as some fat sources like lard, vegetable oil, and fish oil, they are the major energy sources. And the energy sources of plant origin is the soybean meal, which is commonly used in the poultry diet, and others are groundnut cakes, sunflower meal, then cottonseed meal, then safflower meal, and some others. And the animal origin protein sources are fish meal, blood meal, feather meal, then hatchery waste, then some poultry byproduct meal, etc. So we will discuss some of the very important poultry feed ingredients in this chapter. In most of the poultry diets, corn will be the major contributor of metabolizable energy, and corn has become the standard against which other cereals or the cereal byproducts and their energy yielding ingredients are compared. The energy value of corn is contributed by the starchy endosperm, which is composed mainly of amylopectin, and the germ, which contains most of the oil. So the most corn sample contain 3 to 4% of oil, and although the newer varieties are now available, which contain up to 6 to 8% oil. The protein in corn is mainly as a prolamine, that is the zein, and as such, its amino acid profile is not ideal for poultry. So this balance of amino acids and their availability must be seriously considered when low protein diets are formulated, because under these conditions the corn prolamine can contribute up to 50 to 60% of the protein in the diet. So corn is also quite high in the yellow or the orange pigments, usually containing around 5 ppm xanthophyll and zero point 0.5 ppm carotenes. Sometimes the excessive or prolonged heating causes the caramelization of corn, which then has a characteristic smell and the appearance. So there is a concern that lysine will be less available because of Maillard reaction with available carbohydrate. Depending on the growing season and storage conditions, molds and associated mycotoxins can be a problem in the maize. So the aflatoxin contamination is common with insect damaged corn grown in hot humid areas. Zearalenone is also another mycotoxin that periodically occurs in corn. So because the toxins ties up vitamin D3, skeletal and eggshell problems may also occur in the birds. Sometimes what happens, the damaged kernels and foreign materials are going to reduce the economic value of the corn. Crude protein content of the corn, it ranges between 8 to 11%, and the metabolic energy content ranges between 3300 to 3330 kilocalories per kg of the corn. And we can include maximum of 60% in the chick diet, and near about 70% in the grower and the layer diet. So sometimes maize is extremely low in calcium, and we can get some byproducts from the maize, that is corn gluten meal and the corn oil. So corn gluten meal is the major protein source which is separated from the maize, and corn oil is the major energy source used in the poultry industry. So this is about the maize or corn which is used in the poultry diet. The wheat is also used as a major energy source in the poultry industry, and it is rich in calcium, but deficient in methionine and threonine amino acids. So wheat contains near about 3100 kilocalories of metabolic energy per kg, and it has protein content between 11 to 14%. So wheat is commonly used in many countries as the major energy source in poultry diets. Wheat contains about 5 to 8% of pentoxans, which can cause a problem with digestive viscosity that leads to reduced overall diet digestibility and also wet manure. The major pentosan components are arabinoxylans, which are linked to other cell wall constituents, and these are able to absorb up to near about 10 times their weight in water. So unfortunately, birds do not produce adequate quantities of xylanase enzymes, and so these polymers increase the viscosity of the digester. The 10 to 15% reduction in metabolic energy of wheat seen with the most young bird of less than 10-day age, and likely relates to their inability to handle these pentoxans. Wheat also contains alpha amylase inhibitor. One advantage of wheat is that it can be fed as whole grain to the birds after 10 to 14 days of age. So, offering whole wheat and balanced feed with adequate minerals and vitamins provide a very economical way for farmers to utilize homegrown wheat. So, whole wheat feeding stimulates gizzard and gastric motility and the enhanced activity within this acidic environment, which is thought to reduce some coccidial oocyte viability. The wheat can be included in the broiler feed up to 20 to 30%, and in case of young chicks, it can be included up to 20% in the diet. And for growers and layer feed, it should be included up to maximum of 30%. The next cereal grain used as energy source in poultry diet is the sorghum, and the sorghum contains 2650 to 3200 kilocalories of metabolic energy per kg and 10% crude protein. And the sorghum is deficient in lysine, methionine, and the arginine amino acids, but it contains higher amount of tannins as anti-nutritional factor. It reduces the palatability of the feed and ultimately the reduction in feed intake. Inclusion level of sorghum in the broiler feed is maximum up to 45%, and in case of layer feed it is maximum up to 60%. When you are adding the sorghum in the diet of the layer birds, you have to add some of the pigments externally, so that there should not be any problem in the color of the yolk. The cereal grain Bajra also used as an energy source in the poultry diet, and the Bajra protein has more lysine, methionine, and the tryptophan content. So Bajra grain contain near about 11.5% of the crude protein and 2900 kilocalories of the metabolic energy per kg, and it can be included in the broiler diet up to 30% and in the layer diet up to 60%. Wheat bran is the byproduct of wheat, and it is the outer layer of wheat kernel, or it is also called as outer seed coat. So it is rich in fiber and phosphorus. So wheat bran is higher in protein, the amino acid profile compared to the whole wheat. Usually it is low in energy, but the energy value of this wheat bran is improved by up to 10% by steam pelleting. So the CP content, that is the crude protein content of wheat bran, is near about 14%, and the metabolic energy is near about 1000 kilocalories per kg, and it can be included maximum up to 5% in the broiler feed and 10% in the layer feed. Rice bran is the byproduct of rice. It is one of the major energy source used in the poultry diet, and this rice bran is a hard outer layer of rice grain that is removed when processing brown rice into white rice. So this rice bran contains near about 2040 to 2220 kilocalories metabolic energy per kg, and crude protein content is 13.5%, but the crude fiber content is near about 13%. So because of high oil content, that is 6 to 10%, the rice bran is very susceptible to oxidative rancidity. So the oil removed rice bran is called as de-oiled rice bran, that is DORB. And the rice bran has a high phytate trypsin inhibitor and high fiber content. Inclusion level of the rice bran in broiler feed is 10 to 20%, and in layer feed is up to maximum 45%. The another byproduct of rice is rice polish, and which is the cheapest energy and protein source for the poultry. And this is finely ground material obtained in polishing the rice kernels after the hull and bran have been removed. The rice polish is very good substitute for cereal grains, and can be used up to 50% in the poultry ration. So the rice polish is rich in vitamin B complex, and it contains 2900 to 2930 kilocalories metabolic energy per kg, and 15 to 16% crude protein, and 1 to 2% crude fiber. Soybean meal has become the worldwide standard against which other protein sources are compared. So its amino acid profile is excellent for most types of poultry, and when combined with the corn or sorghum, methionine is usually the only limiting amino acid. So the traditionally the higher protein meals are produced from dehulled beans, whereas the lower protein, that is 45% CP meals, invariably contain the seed hulls, and these are higher in fiber and lower in metabolizable energy. The lower and higher protein content of the soybean meal ranges between 43 to 50%, and it contains 2550 kilocalories of the ME per kg. So the soybeans have to be heat treated in order to inactivate various anti-nutrients like trypsin inhibitor. As with most types of beans, the trypsin inhibitors will disrupt the protein digestion, and their presence is characterized by compensatory hypertrophy of the pancreas. So, apart from reduced growth rate and egg production, presence of inhibitors is therefore diagnosed by a 50 to 100% increase in size of the pancreas. But fortunately, the heat treatment employed during processing is usually adequate to destroy the trypsin inhibitors and other less important toxins such as hemagglutinin, that is lectins. So trypsin inhibitor level are usually assayed indirectly by measuring urease activity in processed soybean meal. So residual urease in soybean meal has therefore become the standard in quality control program. Soybean meal can be included in poultry diet maximum up to 30%. The next protein source is groundnut oil cake. Groundnut oil cake contains 40 to 47% of the crude protein. The cysteine, lysine, methionine, and tryptophan are very poor in the groundnut oil cake, and it is rich in arginine. And this groundnut oil cake is easily prone to the mycotoxins. The groundnut oil cake can be used up to 35% in broiler diet and 25% in grower and layer diet. The next important feed ingredient is the rapeseed meal or the mustard seed meal. This is one of the very important protein source which is of plant origin for the poultry ration, and it is high in calcium, phosphorus, and it has a good amino acid profile except the lysine amino acid. And this rapeseed meal contains near about 40% of the crude protein. When it is used in higher quantities, it causes fishy off flavor in eggs, and is also increases the incidence of the liver hemorrhages when it is used in higher quantities in the poultry diet. So the rapeseed meal contains glucosinolates and the uric acid as a major anti-nutritional factor. The maximum inclusion of the rapeseed meal in broiler feed is 3%, and in layer feed is up to 5%. The next important feed ingredient is the sesame seed meal or the gingerly oil cake. So it is also used as the protein source for the poultry diet, and it contains near about 40% of the crude protein. And the energy content of the sesame seed meal is the 1500 to 1700 kilocalories per kg. This sesame seed meal is rich in leucine, arginine, and the methionine, but it is deficient in the lysine amino acid. The sesame has three varieties, that is red, black, and the white. And this is very high in phytate and the oxalates as anti-nutritional factors. So the inclusion level in broiler feed is up to 10%, and in chick it is also up to 10%, and for grower and layer feed it is up to 15%. So guys, this sesame meal is very deficient in available lysine, and this is sometimes used to advantage in formulating lysine deficient diets for research purposes. So sesame also contains high level of phytic acid, which can cause problem with calcium metabolism, leading to skeletal disorder or the poor eggshell qualities. If the diet contains more than 10% of the sesame meal, then the diet should be formulated to contain an extra 0.2% of the calcium. So guys, this is about all the some of the important major energy sources and the plant protein sources used in the poultry industry for the formulating the diets of broilers, layers, and some other species. So I hope you got an idea about some of the important nutrient qualities or the characteristic of the major poultry feed ingredients. So friends, if this information is helpful for you and others, then please like, share, and subscribe my channel for the upcoming videos. Thank you very much.